can have the right to vote, right? And we tapped on this in a previous episode, so definitely go check that out. But you could definitely have the right to vote and still get administratively erased from the election. Nobody has to stand at the door and tell you you can't vote. We 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 have access. We do vote. Some of us. They can, they can tell you your record doesn't match, your citizenship needs verification, your polling location for your particular precinct has changed. They may tell you your ballot was returned, your last ballot was returned, or you missed the correction deadline. This uh, this particular jurisdiction's court hasn't ruled on your little situation yet, and all of that can happen while everybody involved keeps saying nobody took away your right to vote, right? Nobody took your vote. You still got the right. That's the that's the slick part that they try to hit. You know what I'm saying? So because a right doesn't mean much, especially if the procedure outlives the voter, right? And so that's one of the things that we are looking at. A court can fix the record next month. A state can issue new guidelines next week, especially if you in Texas, they may issue one every year. So, be ready for that here in the state of Texas. And a county can apologize definitely later on down the line. But the fact of the matter is, if Tuesday passes or already passed, the vote is dead. Your vote is completely dead. Um, so tonight, I definitely want us to, you know, understand that we're not chasing candidates. Congratulations to all of those that are being, pushed forward in current states and elections for November. Congratulations to you all. I appreciate all of those that's going out to exercise their civic duty in the voting process. But we're not talking campaign ads. We're not talking about the machinery underneath the election. It's the database, the list, the mail, the polling place, the courts, if you will, the deadlines, and some of these elections that happen outside of election cycles or big elections, right? Texas, I'm talking about y'all again, or the city of Beaumont, I'm definitely talking about y'all. And the quiet decisions that decide who makes it to November with a ballot that still counts. That's what we talk about. Election before the election. Um, and like I said, welcome back to the Roundtable Talk Show right here on the Knowledge is Power Live. I just wanted to get that out of the way. I'm your host, Christopher Jones, and tonight's conversation is definitely going to be uncomfortable because um, I want our people, a whole lot of people, to understand not to only pay attention to elections when the yard signs up and the commercials start running. By then, a lot of real decisions have already been made, especially individuals that already gets checked, gets flagged, get challenged, where you vote, how far you have to drive to the next or the closest polling location, what happens to your mail-in ballot. Texas, what happens to your mail-in ballot? Jefferson County, what happens to your mail-in ballot? Republican Party, what happens to your mail-in ballot? Democrat Party, huddle up. What happens to the mail-in ballot? What happens to the mail-in ballot application? How about that one? Since you don't want to even send out the ballot, what happened to the application? What data gets shared? How long you have to fix a mistake for me to be able to vote comfortably, freely, without you intimidating me and others by trying to arrest us? I mean, like, make that make sense. That's where we are tonight. That's where we are tonight. And of course, I got my crew with me. Dr. Campbell, say good evening to the people.
Good evening, people.
Yes, indeed. Tonight, I'm putting you right in the middle of the human cost. You understand? Because what folks don't understand, Dr. Campbell, is paperwork ain't paperwork when somebody's citizenships get questioned. Apparently, a polling place closure ain't just a dot disappearing from a map when somebody has to find childcare, miss work, or catch two buses to vote. So tonight, I need you watching that what these rules is really doing to real people that want to make real change. Welcome to the table, Queen.
I'll be very sharp with a P,
I
not T.
heard that. Yes, indeed. Perry Busby, my big brother, welcome to the table. Say good evening to the people.
Good evening.
Yes, indeed. I don't know who that was today. Still probably Barry White's little brother, but you got the data line, big bro. I definitely want you to be in your space. I want you to be in your space. Uh, just like Dr. Campbell say, I need you to be sharp because folks get real comfortable when government says we're just collecting information. Of course, y'all know me. My
For
question is
sure.
always for what, how much, who gets it, who shares it, and what happens when the reason for collecting it changes. That's the kitchen I want you in cooking tonight. But I don't know what you're gonna be putting in them pots other than good liquor. Little brother, good evening, man. What's going on with you? Say good evening to the people.
What up, people?
Yes, indeed. Um, Dustin, you got the arguments. I definitely want folks um to understand that they've used these arguments to defend the system, especially election security, legal compliance, partisan strategy, fraud prevention. Um, all that nice jazz that they try to throw at people, even voter coercion. And I want you to bring those arguments straight to the table, brother, because if what we're saying tonight can't survive the strongest counter argument, we don't need to say it at all. How about it? Of course, we don't have any guests, but on the table tonight, the few guests that I did ask, they must have was scared of this conversation, or just not available. But I sent it days in advance, so I don't know. It was several people that I did ask, but they didn't say nothing. And nobody said nothing, Dr. Campbell. So I guess these shots is gonna be a little bitter. I'm quite sure. Um, you know, but we're gonna throw them down anyway. So I definitely want y'all to know. Pull up your chair, and get ready because either y'all gonna answer these roundtable these guest questions chat or these chat questions right along with us. And so like, yeah, we're looking forward to y'all engaging with us again. All of those that we have access to are on every platform. We ask that you like, share, subscribe, and follow the Knowledge is Power platforms, including the Knowledge is Power TV. Again, on Roku, Apple TV, YouTube. We're everywhere, and everywhere is good. I promise y'all want to know it. Um, Here's the whole episode in a nutshell, if y'all will, though. And I'm not stepping on nobody's toes tonight because my crew, I know they're gonna bring it. Um, but what happens um, when government leaves you right intact, you know, on paper, like they be claiming. You your registration is good. You got your little card in the mail, right? But makes exercising that right harder, slower, more expensive even, and maybe even more trackable. Some people don't want to be tracked like that, or or easier to lose. We don't even have you as a registered individual in the entire state. That's administrative disenfranchisement, y'all. And tonight we've got four lanes. Uh, Data laundering, when incomplete information starts getting treated like proof. You got surveillance expansion, where voter information collected for one purpose becomes useful for another. Those, and now all this other stuff that they let me hold on. Abstract subtraction. That's when you still have the right to vote, but fewer places, longer travel, longer lines, and more hoops. That makes the right to vote harder to use, right? And then again, like I said, sometimes these days are outside of normal or national election dates or election cycles, and so that all plays a role in it, as well as accountability fog. I don't understand why we all have to have amnesia about some of the things that go on in these current and past administrations that we have issues with. And I don't care if it is a state takeover with the same. Never mind. Never mind. When five institutions, y'all, touch one mistake, and I said five institutions touch one mistake, and somebody, I mean, and somehow nobody owns the lost vote. That's the table that we be definitely setting up tonight. Um, round one, round one. The database does not have the right; it only has to outlast the deadline. Round one is about a dangerous little assumption, especially if the government database says, oh, people treat it like the truth, especially when they say America isn't racist. We've moved on from that. Dr. Campbell, if naturalization, or I'm sorry, if naturalized citizens um, are more vulnerable to being misread by government databases, are they full citizen or citizens on permanent probation? I can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, so sharp and simple. If the system keeps flagging you like a glitch, you're not a full citizen. You're a citizen with an asterisk.
Uh,
That's not equality. That's probation by database. That's my shot with Tahini.
hey man, wait. With an asterisk though, what we said when I be knowing was on here. Are you buffering, cuz? You buffering. You got an asterisk, so you buffering. They say you buffering. Golly, Dr. Campbell. That's the problem, though, y'all. Citizenship cannot mean welcome to America. Now, keep proving it every time our system screw up on you. You know what I'm saying? Once you're a citizen, you're a citizen. Not temporarily, not conditionally, not uh, on a no probationary period. If government genuinely sees something questionable in a record, should it be allowed to investigate? I mean, like, yes, investigate, but don't confuse investigation with accusation, and don't take or make the citizen pay for the government's uncertainty, especially on my behalf. No, I'm not. Stop wasting my dollars. Y'all, I thought we cut that out. I thought we cut that out with Doge. Mm. Get shot. Why should an American have to prove citizenship again because government systems failed to communicate accurately. And I want us to understand, I'm asking these questions about citizenship because I was told that I don't look like I'm an American. And
Mm.
if Dustin leans forward, I'm sure they will say that, especially with his toboggan on today, they will definitely say that Dustin doesn't look like he's American. Perry could lean forward a little bit, and I'm sure Dr. Campbell, they'll say that he don't look like he could be American. And you, Dr. Campbell, could definitely be um considered an immigrant because of what this administration is currently the way this administration is currently targeting us. So I definitely want somebody to answer that guest question. Why should America have to prove Americans have to prove citizenship again because government systems fail to communicate accurately or don't want to at all? How about it? Anybody?
Because the president isn't technically a citizen underneath his own rules.
Himself. Oh, himself. Himself. I just
Because
want you
Trump
to know
isn't
it.
even his real last name.
Call it.
That sound like Ted Cruz, huh? Oop, oop.
Are you talking about Eduardo Theodore?
They hit that email. Come on here, somebody.
Yeah,
Let,
then
let them know.
Eduardo.
Let them know. Yeah.
He got a
Yeah.
Ted in his name.
He put the T in there. What did you talk about? What Eduardo.
That man's name, I believe, is Rafael Eduardo Cruz.
It is.
Where he get
Right.
Ted from?
Yeah. Well, that's how William is Bill. I don't know where they
Nah.
get Bill from.
At least they got the ILL. Where he get the TED?
Oh man. Anybody else want that? They want to take that shot?
I'm just gonna
Cause
say, if the
this
government can't talk for itself, why should I have to prove who I am twice? That's their screw up, not my burden.
whose burden? Not mine.
It's theirs, not mine.
Not mine.
Nah,
Um,
nah.
I agree. I agree. I agree. That's where burden gets flipped though, Dr. Campbell. Government
Yeah.
says our records are unclear. And the citizen suddenly has homework.
Mhm.
Yeah,
They
school
write our
just
story
started,
to
but
what
boo, that
they want
started
it
for
to
my
be.
children. Yeah, the school started for my children. It's not for me. That means, you know, documents, time off of work, particular phone calls to whoever I got to make phone calls to. I may miss a deadline or be rushing to make my deadlines. Anxiety because you done told me, oh, you might be going to jail because you voted. Make that make sense. All because one system didn't talk to the other. So no, no, no. If the data is uncertain, the presumption, the of favor for the citizen until government proves otherwise. Like I said, this your burden, not mine. That's the constitutional question right there, y'all. Who carries the risk when government is unsure?
Mm.
We do because you get cut off. Ask the folks that ain't got FEMA no more. Perry, your shot, or you gonna sip on some of that one?
Nah, I'm cool.
All right. All right, because I know that I had put it on file. Uh, your shot, Perry. If complete voter files can be collected without individual suspicion, when does list maintenance become mass surveillance? And
Hmm.
I ain't talking just flock cameras at the polling location. Oops,
Yeah.
did I say that out loud?
Well, it becomes mass surveillance when there's no list maintenance done. And I think that that is a presumption that there is maintenance being done on our data list. I mean, we just spent the last 5 minutes talking about the inaccuracies and the misinformation that is contained.
Mm,
Um, the mass surveillance is also becomes an issue when those with the information began to isolate and pick their voters, uh, rather than present their campaign to the people. And so we
mm,
we see that a lot. We see it more so with primaries, but primaries turn into general elections, and just like we've noticed in local elections, even though they are not partisan elections, they are partisan in terms of the people. So the people who have the list pick their people who they want. I mean, it's no mistake that 12 we can talk about people not showing up, but uh a 12 to 15% turnout is an indicator about how we are going out to attract people, be it the campaign, be it the parties, be it those who are committed and saying we need to get out the vote. Uh, we see people working in silos, so the list itself just becomes a backdrop.
mm.
And so the surveillance happens in the sense that, um, yeah, when you show up at an unexpected hour and an unexpected time when they weren't expecting you to show up, um, is the time you are hit with the inaccuracies, uh, the lack of communication, and I'll just quit it at this. But we have to understand that when we talk elections in the United States, uh, elections are a state mandated and state and require state oversight. But they are run under the jurisdiction of the counties, and with over 3,000 counties in the United States, you can imagine there's 3,000 different ways that voting is taking place.
Correct. Correct. Nice point. Very nice point. Very nice point. And that's the line because people keep saying government already has the information, right? Maybe they do. But if information scattered across 10 agencies ain't the same thing as information centralized into one searchable system. And then we ain't talking about a data center either. That's the difference. Especially the different kind of power that we supposed to have. So answer the people this question when it or ask the people when you pop up in the poll when data moves from election administration into broader federal systems, what should be what should the public demand? That's what you need to be moving into that as community. That's what we need because you know particular individuals refuse to propose certain limits on those elected officials. Period. They refuse to give access limits to some of these individuals, retention limits, audit trails. I mean, like the whole 9 yards when it comes to consequences of government crossing the lines. Man. We was talking about an incompetent government today, trying to figure out how. Never mind, I didn't even want to say that. Dustin, your shot. Why is non-citizen voting treated like an emergency when officials have not produced evidence matching the scale of the response?
Because 72.3% of the country has never had to prove that they have the right to vote. So from their
How many?
throne of privilege, of course
Yes.
they think it's like that for everyone else to do so.
Come on
So
here.
of course people are voting without being harassed, without being questioned. So yeah, even though studies have shown that the people who are accusing folks of voter fraud has always been the ones committing it.
Yeah. Wouldn't some folks just recently convicted for voter fraud?
Yep.
At least that's what I recollect. Some folks
All while they was
was
trying
recently
to
convicted
be
for
mad
voter
at other
fraud.
folks.
Point. Point. I mean, if somebody knowingly votes illegal, prosecute them by all means. Yes. Period.
Mm-hmm.
But the size of the remedy still has to match the size of the problem, or the proven problem, if you will, because according to data, Dustin, we how many people have voted, or that we can see, non-citizens that have voted?
Not one.
Come on here, somebody. I just want y'all to know. Stop falling for that. Stop falling for that lie and deceit that they
Mm-mm.
keep telling you almost around every election. That's why they was eating the cats and the dogs when y'all voted for the orange orangutan. Come, let me get out of here. Somebody pull me up.
If the citizenship data are incomplete but prosecution threats are real, will local officials protect eligible voters or protect themselves?
Um, um, I don't want nobody to be mad at me. So I'm really taking just a little time, um to let that question sink into your psychic, because what I think people miss the deeper pressure, is, election workers are human, county
Mm.
officials are human, and human beings, especially the ones we may know and fellowship with on Sundays, um, react to incentives. If the political climate says you better not let ineligible persons vote, if state officials are watching, if federal officials are watching, if prosecution is being discussed, what does the safest bureaucracy decision look like? Does it look like
Hmm.
let us trust the voter, or let's challenge and let's challenge them and let somebody else sort it out? You already know that's how they play in our face every time, every single time. And that's how systems get harder without anybody waking up saying, let me suppress somebody today. Fear doesn't show, some sort of work. It Risk doesn't show, you know, some sort of work. Career protection don't show some sort of work, but it's working. I promise you, it got some behind the scenes things. Political pressure does sometimes show its work, especially in today's political society. I'm looking at people with on all sides of the fence that are in confusion and trying to figure out how we're gonna either save our government or this country, let alone democracy itself. And then the voter carries the burden in all of that. The truth of the people, the truth is that the people don't want to say institutional harm does not require every person inside the institution to be malicious. Huddle up. Sometimes that's what's required, especially when you see mold growing on the bread that you just bought out the store yesterday. Now you have to question the environment of your house, the time and length of transportation, and what kind of date was on that bread when you saw it in the store. You felt on it, you looked at it, you mashed it like the folks told you to do. And by the time you made 2 sandwiches, that bread is molded. Sometimes it only requires everybody to protect themselves. And who pays for that caution, you know? The citizen. And here's what makes it. Here's what makes voting different from damn near every other government mistake. I will say that. The clock. It's the clock. If the government overcharges you, you can get your money back. If the government delays a permit, you can get that permit later on. If the voter, if the voter's eligibility gets screwed up and the election passes, there ain't no daggum refund. There is no, you can make up this ballot. Look, here, put it in there and we're going to correct it and see how the election, none of that happened. There ain't no February do-overs. Your vote from that election is gone. It's counted. And if you didn't vote, it is not counted, or it is counted as a no vote. You better check your voter record because it's public. That's why I keep saying a late correction can still be disenfranchisement. Because the record lives, y'all. The vote, our access to vote is what's seemingly to be being assassinated, poisoned, if you will. Check question number 1. What makes database-driven voter challenges most dangerous? Put a 1 in the chat for bad information. Put a 2 in the chat for voter carries the burden. Put a 3 in the chat for pressure on local officials. Put a 4 in the chat for corrections arriving too late. Put a 5 in the chat for all of the above. Go and drop your number. Roundtable question. When when government can question voters without first producing individual evidence, is that election security or mass suspicion dressed as administration? Dr. Campbell, you have the floor.
So, for the chat questions, I'm going to say it's all of it together. And that's exactly the point. Bad data, shifted blame, scared officials, and a slow fix. That's not a glitch. That's a system designed to disenfranchise by delay and doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so my answer to the roundtable question is if you're questioning people with no reason to suspect them, that's not security. That's a fishing expedition in a suit and tie.
I want you to know it.
Suspicion without evidence is just harassment with paperwork.
Perry, you have the floor.
Regarding the chat question, I'll go with all, but instead of saying all, I just really want to say it's confusion. Because all of that leads to confusion, however we want to dice it up. And confusion is dangerous in any election process, or any process whereby we are trying to maintain our government body, our system of government. Is very dangerous when the people don't understand the system and the people running the system don't understand it.
Yeah.
And both of those things
Yeah.
happen on a daily basis.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Regarding the roundtable question, uh, I'll go back to 2020 when I was in South Florida, and we saw 5 individuals get arrested for having voted 2 years prior. I think they voted in 2018. And these were people who some had served time
Mm.
and had their rights restored, or at least was given the information that they were eligible to vote. And we saw the governor of Florida uh, use law enforcement to intimidate uh, not just those voters, but any other would-be voter who had a similar background from voting.
Mm.
And so, we, as Dustin was saying earlier, I mean, there are some stories about people and their experiences in elections and their attempt to vote that would sound like fantasy to some of us.
Hmm.
But it's a very but it's a very intimidating and overwhelming process for some folk, especially those who by their own admission say that they are not into politics, or those people who are already disenfranchised out of the system and are trying to find their way back into the system. So when we can't understand those hurdles and those challenges, it makes it really hard, because one of the biggest things I think we're challenging right now is that we have Republicans talking so much about fraud, of which, let me put this delicately, of which there is only faint occurrences of. I think right now they say it's less than 3%, maybe even 2% of voter fraud happens.
Hmm.
So you have that on one side, and then you have Democrats on the other side claiming no fraud at all, which I think is just effing stupid. Because how can you have a system? How can you participate in a competitive process where you don't understand that somebody's trying to gain an edge on you,
Mm.
whether legally or illegally?
Mm.
And for you to engage and tell the citizens, no, everything is okay, is a misnomer. It's straight up fraud, because you can't be real with me.
Hmm. Man, Dustin, you have the floor.
For the chat, you know me, I'm all above kind of person. It's a bunch of foolishness all wrapped up in one sandwich.
Correct.
But for the question,
What kind of sandwich, Dustin?
it really don't matter. It ain't a Cuban press, so it really don't. It is what it is. But for the question, I think it's attempted control through fear mongering. Scared of people to either harassing other folks that they've been told is the usual suspect for these fraud and voter issues. And on the other side, you got people not wanting to deal with that. And so they'll either not vote at all, or just, pull themselves out of the process, because you got a lot going on. Because I remember one where they polling place, all of a sudden, as soon as the line got long, all the machines went down magically. and they said, "Oh well, as long as you in line, you good." And then they start telling people, "Nah, the whole place closed." No, 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 no. We'll wait. And I think they waited there to like 9 at night to vote.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Man, man. I just
But tell me, do you
definitely,
feel? But do you feel comfortable voting on the machine that they tell you already had problems after you
I
stayed there, after you
Because
stayed in line for that
this
long?
my thing. I don't feel comfortable voting on a piece of paper that they could erase. Heck, I think vote need to go back to where you to punch that hole in it.
yeah, yeah. Or teach us how to write in, but you don't even want to teach us how to signature.
Hmm.
And that's all intentional. Um, Security without, if we could, individualize evidence can definitely become suspicion in every manner, y'all. I just definitely want y'all to know. And I mean, like, I don't have to see a pig in lipstick to know that that ain't how that's supposed to go, right? I don't need to see a pig squealing out the window to know, with a pinwheel, to know that that's funny. That's funny to me. I don't care if it may offend other pigs because I find amusement in pigs. Hey, you shouldn't have put yourself in that type of situation for me to laugh at you. So you should have thought like Carrie's mother, they're all gonna laugh at you. I'm not saying um, you know, don't verify, y'all. That's not what I'm saying. By all means, yes, keep receipts. Um, but what I am saying is show your work, especially like the math teacher used to tell us. Show your work and turn in that paper when you finish your homework because I want to see how you went through it, right? How many people were flagged? And again, like I said, or Perry alluded to, what was the minimal, as minimalistic as it may be. Don't cover it up and make it seem as if it's none, because if you dig into the fraud uh, in these elections that are happening, you will see that majority of these are white, straight male, Republican, voting as dead individuals, and or trying to vote twice. And that happened in 2016 after President Barack Obama, and I want to say heavily in 2025 after President uh, Joe Biden. You take that data and information for wherever you want, however you want. But
Yeah.
again, like I said, that's where these numbers at, especially
Yeah.
again around white straight males or white males, period, and they just so happen to be Republican voters. I mean, how many people are actually ineligible that are not convicted felons? Because according to all of what I'm reading, if you are a currently convicted felon, you cannot vote in your state and or county election processes. I'm sorry, city, county, state, and or federal election processes. I mean, how many were citizens that voted illegally? I just told y'all most of the individuals that's caught and prosecuted or Republican white men. I mean, how many of them hold record? Where? How long did the correction take? Especially if those things are um, justifiable, if you will. I don't. I again, I can't see where a mass of voters are going to do something as atrocious as the what they call it, electoral college. Moving right along. Round table. Shot number two. Shot number two. Shot number two. I just definitely don't want that burden of proof to be on the voter when the electoral college has been failing and repeating the same grade. I don't understand it. You ain't graduated yet? Sorry. Shot number two. Our chaser for this shot is your ballot can remain secret while your participation becomes trackable. Perry, um, something that you said in the last in the last episode that I mean in the last uh on the last shot that really stood out to me. And so I'm glad you didn't go deep into it because I was gonna tell you, hey man, wait till I pull you up so I could so we could look like we have a show.
Right.
But where is the line between responsible tracking or between responsibly tracking ballot mail and constructing a federal record of who participates?
Um, that line is pretty dull and damn near invisible.
Pen, raise your pen.
Um, let me just say, I did vote by mail. I'm still a registered Florida voter, and so Florida held its election today. And shout out
Mm-hmm.
to State Representative Angie Nixon, who became the Democratic candidate for Senate.
Come on.
In fact, we just talked to her this past week. But
Yes, indeed. Um, yeah, at the
the
Gazette.
yeah, we so in terms of the ballot mail tracking, I think that it has its advantages, uh, especially for those of us uh who are out of state to be able to, have with some degree of certainty that the ballot was received at least. Um, that's the one thing that's going on because you talked earlier about the post office and the post office being as intermediary, and now the post office, because of this administration, is being brought into the election process in a way that it has never had the authority or a say so. It had a duly
Mm-hmm.
responsibility,
Mm-hmm.
uh, as they used to say, by rain, sleet, or snow, shall the post office not get the mail to its appointed destination.
Mm.
So that's the mantra it should abide by. But now we see that they, because of an administration, the head of the post office was someone uh, Trump put in, and for the life of me, I still don't know why the Biden administration didn't overhaul that, and so
Yeah.
we're still left with that. But to your point on that, uh, tracking is good because we do need good chain of custody
Mm-hmm.
that happens, not just with the vote by mail, but also, and I know it's different. I mean, in Florida, we do paper ballots.
Mm-hmm.
So you do need a chain of custody. You do need that process to make sure it gets from point A to point B. Uh, when you have technology involved, uh, that chain of custody uh, it's not widely seen. Uh, I'm a big proponent that elections should be as transparent as possible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, but in saying that, we also have to have an electorate that are curious
Hmm.
about it,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
nothing is stopping us now from going to see or overseeing the ballot counting process, or overseeing what happens after the polls close. But we don't do that. We at home, we at some after party trying to get ready for the results. And so part of this, I'm glad we having this discussion, because yes, the responsibility is on our electeds uh, to have an open, transparent election. But the duty responsibility is still upon us as voters, and it's just not to show up at the polls, but it's to ensure, because as we say, all politics are local. So I really don't
Absolutely.
care about how we're looking at it from the city level, from the county, state, federal level. If we can't validate or ensure the voice of the people in our precinct,
Hmm.
then we above all people should be pitied, because that information is available to us.
Correct.
And because we do leave it to the extremists to be
Who?
involved, right? Yeah,
Oh, I
they get
thought you said
involved
the
and they find the
insurgents.
loopholes. Yeah, the
I
extremists
thought you
get
called
involved
them.
and find the loopholes.
That's the insurgents. Don't call them extremists. These are the insurgents right here in your homeland. Go ahead, Pierre. Extremists sound so so far fetched when you're talking
Yeah,
about these insurgents. I can't find no other word for them. I can't find no other word for them.
but we have them on both sides. We have,
Correct.
right,
Correct.
and so the insurgency, on Republican sides has a different kind of vibe and feel to it, but the insurgency on the Democratic side is just as power hungry, and maintaining status quo
Yep.
as their brothers across the aisle.
Mm, mm, mm. Man. Guess shot. Before I say something else. If a valid ballot is delayed because an election office failed to satisfy a new technical rule, why should the voter absorb the loss? Anybody want to touch on that?
Because a crook
Say it
never blames
again.
himself.
A crook never blames himself or identifies himself. You're absolutely correct. I ain't do it. I said if a valid ballot is delayed because an election of office failed to satisfy a new technical rule, why should the voter absorb the loss?
They shouldn't. If the
Yeah,
office drops the ball on its own rule, the voters shouldn't have to pay the price. That's
Mm,
like finding you for their missed alarm clock.
hmm,
yeah,
hmm. Yeah.
yeah. I don't think the voter takes the laws, um, but I think the process takes the hardest hit. Um,
Mm, mm,
anyone, the one who takes if there is a loss, I would say it's on the candidate, because we all have a role to play in this process,
mm-hmm.
and that's one of the biggest misconceptions I think that we still carry into elections today, is that we still have this old framework of how it once worked, whether that
Mm,
was whether that was 10 years ago, and for some folk it's 30 years ago. So you
mm.
can you see how out of place they are in their thinking about this process. And we
Right,
do have
right.
some people who run elections with a 30-year-old mindset without understanding the nuances that take place. I mean, one of the biggest things I've been advocating for is, and I know you talked about it, Chris, just in polling locations. My thing has been, why do we have, and I know we do it for cost purposes. We usually put the city uses city buildings to uh, sort of tamp down costs, but my thing is put polling locations where people are. Put them in a damn grocery store. Put them in the strip center where you know folk are trafficking to get people to vote. You know, I think Houston did something that was really great a couple years ago. Republicans took it away. They had 24-hour voting centers because there is a group of people, individuals who work at night and during the day
I'm sleep.
they they are totally out of pocket. So hey, if I get off of work and I know I can drive up to a voting to the polling location at 5:30 in the morning and vote, then you got me.
Yeah, yeah. And
You know,
it makes me feel like you want me. How about it?
right, right,
Yeah, that's my position. Sanction the institution if the institution is screwed up. Fix the procedure, correct the government, correct the system, like you said. Especially if
right,
we see where it's off track because we're doing our own manual counting, not waiting for somebody to put that number on the side of the door. We got clickers. We got people. Did you vote? Yes. Okay. Did you vote for or against the propositions? I don't want to know who you voted for. I want to know, did you vote for or against the propositions? Oh, I didn't even see them propositions on there. Thank you. Have a good day. Did you vote for? Yes. Thank you. Awesome. Thank you for your vote. Even if they did not come out to vote through a whole ballot and they voted for a singular person, you need to, or we need to make that individual feel special for even taking time out of their busy schedule or even accessible to that individual taking time out of their busy schedule to not understand a single thing that's on that ballot besides the one person that they came in there to vote for.
right.
Because if
You
you
know,
haven't reached that individual before they got to the poll, or if you haven't reached that individual before we got to the midterms, or if you haven't reached that individual before we got to the primaries, or if you haven't reached that individual before we got the state elections, especially when propositions are on the ballot, you, my friend, are one that's going to suffer because of the loss. That's the loss. You're going to absorb that loss, and it's going to
yeah,
show up in many ways, in many facets in your economic, financial, residential, veteran, however, whoever you think you are, it's gonna show up in your life, especially if you're making less than 160, maybe $180,000, maybe $215,000 a year. If you're making that, you might be comfortable in Stanks America. I'm just
yeah.
saying.
But Chris, you raised a good point. Very solid point about doing. They call it exit polling, but really being out there to canvas
Hmm.
afterwards. Uh, there's this guy by the name of Peter Drucker. Peter Drucker is a well-known business manager consultant. Peter Drucker says this: you can't fix what you are not measuring.
Hmm.
Mm. Wow.
How can I fix this if I'm not aware of where the problems are? So you
Correct.
can't fix what you can't measure. But then the other side, but then to extend that farther, you can't measure what you're not monitoring.
Correct.
So if
Vessel.
we not
Oh, my
looking
bad.
for it, right? If we not looking for it, then how can we measure and how can we fix it? And this is the problem that we have with voting because we go from instincts, especially black folk. We straight from the gut when it comes to elections
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
talking like we Einstein. So
Dustin.
go take your boo boo and go and be
I
done with
knew
it.
it was coming. I knew
You
it was coming. That's why I was like, Dustin,
take your boo boo
hurry
because
up.
there go your knowledge. There go your knowledge.
Man, go ahead and take your boo-boo. If a country reduces polling sites to the legal minimum, is it observing the law? I mean, or obeying the law, or using the law to justify the least accessible access possible?
It's a little of both, but it's just a stupid game they
I'm
like
glad
to
you said
play.
that. Yeah, yeah.
It's a very stupid game they like to play to limit access. Cause let's give you an example. So take a smaller city, because we ain't small, but Beaumont ain't the biggest. Like it take me an hour, I could drive through each ward and be done with. So if the Theodore Library just happened to be closed or not open for whatever reason, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna drive past another polling place before I get me something to eat. But you take that same stuff, throw it in the city with a whole bunch of heavy traffic, like let's say Houston, to where that whole place by my house no longer exists, and it take 2 hours to get to the other side of the town. I'm gonna think twice about voting, if at all.
Correct.
So it just little games like that are getting played. Like
Hmm.
even with the mail-in ballots, there's only one place you can drop them off, and it ain't near nobody.
Nobody. Nobody. Man, that's the distinction right there between the legal floor and the and good governance, if you will. Yes, indeed, baby. That's the balance, right? Ooh wee, Dustin, man, man. I want folks to sit with that for a little while. Golly, Dr. Campbell.
Yeah.
Who is hit first when voting requires more transportation, childcare, time away from work, and patience?
The same people always, it always hits first. The
Hmm,
working parents, hourly wage earners, and folks without a car. When voting becomes an obstacle course, the folks with the least cushion takes the hardest fall.
absolutely. Absolutely. People with the least flexibility or flexible pay scale or a flexible uh, work schedule. Yeah, yeah. They pay the highest price for inconvenience and not convenience.
Mm,
I just heard Perry say Houston, and I remember that some years back when Houston had 24-hour polling locations during the election cycle. Let me tell y'all what else they do, y'all. Um, they play how they play in your face, Dr. Campbell. They open the entire county free for you to vote wherever you choose. And the polling location that is in your area close to your house ends up not having the voter turnout that it used to. And now the commissioners, and the clerk, maybe, I don't know, can petition to close that particular polling location, Dr. Campbell. Why? Because low voter turnout. Mind you, this polling location is only open on election day. Now let's keep moving forward. I just want you to know that we see what's going on here. It is not, it is, stop playing. It's not invisible to everybody. It's not invisible. So, salaried personnel and the people that, help us during the election process, by all means, thank you. But there is a whistleblower clause.
Yeah.
Who gonna
In
pull me
in
up?
Texas, in Texas, Chris, in Texas,
Yeah,
before you answer that,
you muted, brother.
people that's voting, in early voting, does that exist on election day, or do you have to go to your polling location?
Oh, that's period. That's during early elections and the election day. You can vote wherever you want.
Okay, right, but they
But
also
some
have
of go ahead.
right. So they also have some polling locations that are also open as well, right?
Correct.
Are you
So
talking about designated
Some
polling
precinct,
places?
yeah,
yeah,
some
there is no
precinct polling.
designated polling locations here in the state of Texas, period.
That's right.
In the state
Okay,
of Texas.
Mm-mm.
And so if I'm in Houston on election day, or state election day, um, I can vote in Houston, provisional in Houston, and it should still count because I'm outside of my county area. I can vote in a state election
That's
in Austin
in
if I'm registered. I could vote anywhere in the state of Texas for state elections if you are viably registered. But if you're not in your county, if I'm not mistaken, if you're not in your county, that is considered a provisional.
it's a
You shaking
limited
your
ballot.
head,
It's a
so
limited ballot.
you don't get to vote for everybody, is what she's saying.
Right. You'll only vote for the state candidates because
State
a lot of
candidates,
times it'll be a combination election
correct,
with local and state stuff. So you won't
correct,
be able to vote in Austin's local election being
correct,
registered here, but you
right.
will be able to vote in the state election
Correct. And
here.
that's what I was
Yes.
saying. That's what I
Mm.
was stating is
That's what you
that
said. You
in
said that.
state elections, right, for the
But it's
people,
called a
I
hmm
limited
appreciate the
ballot, not a provisional.
got it. So for the people that that maybe, well, I should be able to vote because of some people aren't all that clarity that Dr. Campbell gave is not always there. And
hmm
so you have these instances where um in the state of Texas, where being that I can vote anywhere in my county, because that's also here in Jefferson County, adopted those same practices, as well as the city of Beaumont, being that Jefferson County governs their elections, has those same practices that you can vote anywhere in the city of Beaumont during city elections. You could also vote anywhere in Jefferson County during county elections, as well as you can vote anywhere in Beaumont for school board elections. And so, what I've noticed or come to know, especially after the latest, I guess, assessment that the county did of polling locations and voter turnout is that um, some polling locations that are only open on election day, only on election day, have
That's right.
very low voter turnout. Mind you, these
Right.
polling locations are not open during early
Early voting.
elections.
That's
So that's one of the ways that the state of Texas, I didn't say Republicans, Democrats, Independents, I didn't say nobody. I said that's one of the ways that the state of Texas, in its system of removing polling locations from individual neighborhoods and communities like Avenue A's, the avenues here in Beaumont, that polling location is closed because King was closed. Mind you, BISD still ain't open it back up. And we never mind. Go who it's on
It's
me?
early
So
college now.
the county clerk suggests to the commissioners to close certain polling places during
Correct.
the early voting and only
Mm-hmm.
open them during the voting day. And you're absolutely right. Those polling places are do have a lower voter turnout because a lot of times the public does isn't aware that the public places that were not open during early voting, but they are open on election day. A lot of people don't realize that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think that's intentional too, Dr. Campbell.
I think so too.
Hmm. Somebody pull me up.
Why is election efficiency measured by what government saves and rarely by what the voter is forced to spend?
Um, this is one of the government's oldest tricks. Give me a second. Yeah, that's one of their oldest tricks. I had to wet my whistle just a little bit so I could get all that out. That's one of their oldest tricks though. Government says we consolidated locations and saved over $300,000, or we consolidated and made these accessible, and we see that there's a voter turnout increase in this particular precinct. Okay, so that was precinct particular. Wonderful. Now calculate the other ledger. Let's calculate the other side. How many additional miles did voters have to drive? How many additional buses, transfers, or bus routes individuals had to take in unfamiliar communities? I mean, how much unpaid work time went into that? Because here in the state of Texas, I don't know too many careers that's paying you to go while you go vote. I don't know too many that's doing that. Don't worry. And if there's any, put it in the chat so I can let people know, hey, go apply there. They understand the responsibility in civic engagement. They don't consider y'all how much childcare costs, how many extra hours collectively spent in the line, just in the line, how many disabled voters lost a closer accessible location. Like I said, my polling location in my area is only open on election day. I have several neighbors, I'm sure, that would like to vote early, but not vote early by mail. They can't vote early in my neighborhood, riding in their chair or walking in their on their cane, because it's not open early. It's only open on election day. And I know you don't expect those individuals in the masses to go try and vote at that one polling location on election day. Make that make sense. You already told us we can't go give nobody no water. You already told us we almost can't give nobody a seat. So I mean, like, make it make sense because government didn't necessarily eliminate the cost, y'all. It privatized it. The county saved allegedly. The citizen paid. We did, but the citizen inconvenience doesn't show up at an expenditures in the annual budget in the county budget. So politicians get to call that. Ooh, I almost. Ooh, I almost. Ooh, Dr. Cabot almost slid out. Ooh, so that fecal is efficiency. No, no. Show me the social costs. Show me what it cost us as a community. And this time, make it matter racially and economically because resources purchase resilience for particulars. If my polling place moves 5 miles outside of the South End, I'm allegedly have access to Jefferson County during early elections. But guess what, y'all? Jefferson County, being one of the main polling locations in downtown Beaumont, has low voter turnout in early elections. Make that make
Mm.
sense. And I got two vehicles in the driveway, but I choose to drive way to Rogers Park. Man, stop playing with me. Y'all know, y'all already know. I stop playing with me. I want to go see. I just want to be part of what it is to see. So I drive way outside. Dustin said I drive way from the South End, Charlton Pollard area to get to Rogers Park over by Marshall, just so I can see the chaos, hoopla, and ignorancy that happens at that political polling location and say, oh, I went vote and I saw it, or I wanted to be a part of the in crowd. Make that make sense. Some same government decision, and most of them be standing out there perpetrating that ignorancy. Different consequences. So when somebody says everybody is being treated equally, everyone's being. My next question is equal in what measurement? Because you obviously not taking those measurements either, because equality cannot just mean we inconvenience everybody, but and it was equal across the board. And if the burden is predictable, policymakers have to measure it. And let me be careful because I don't want nobody knocking on my door. Unequal impact does not automatically prove racist intent. But once you document unequal impact, government doesn't get to pretend it doesn't know anymore. Knowledge creates responsibility, y'all. I just definitely want y'all to know that. And they know it. And we are not holding them responsible. Check question number 2. Which quiet change can suppress the most votes? Which quiet change can suppress the most votes? Put a 1 in the chat if you believe it's a return mail ballot. Put a 2 in the chat if you believe it's a relocated polling place. Put a 3 in the chat for a longer line. Put a 4 in the chat for a technical rule voters never heard about. Bring your birth certificate, and we just made that decision yesterday. Put a 5 in the chat if it's all of the above. Drop your number. Chat question number 2. I'm sorry, roundtable question number 2. Can government claim voting remains equally accessible, not equal, equally accessible while keeping the legal right, but steadily increasing the cost of it? Dr. Campbell, you have the floor.
So for the chat question, I'm going to say all of the above, but the quietest one is number 4. A rule that nobody knows doesn't have to be unfair to be disenfranchising. It just has to be unknown.
Yes, indeed, Dr. Campbell.
Okay, and for the roundtable question, you can call it equal access all you want, But if you keep raising the price of entry, that's
Hmm,
not equality. That's a toll booth with a smile.
hmm, hmm.
Gee.
Maybe even racially profiling.
Mm.
Perry, you have the floor.
Regarding the chat question, it was kind of hard. For me, I would say, really one of the best ways to suppress it is let folk go at their own whims, which is how they operate anyway. You know,
Hmm,
to be honest, but I would say, yeah, a technical rule voters never heard about would be uh one.
mm-hmm.
Can government claim voting remains equally accessible? Um, it can claim it, uh, like it does everything else. Yeah, it can claim it. Uh, uh, but we have to understand. I mean, I know Plessy versus Ferguson is old, but uh, we still live in a separate but not equal society. I mean,
I
I
just
don't
want
care
them to
how you
know.
bake it. I don't care how much lipstick you put on that pig. I mean,
Correct.
and so, um, uh, yeah, I mean, and that's just one of the things we just haven't talked about tonight, and that is just the overabundance of money that goes into elections, not just campaigns, but the elections themselves. And if we fail to understand that elections are a industry and not just a process, it's a whole industry that runs elections that is
Mm-hmm.
profitable.
Mm-hmm.
The three main um companies that run voting machines, whether that's ES&S, uh, who's the other one? Gosh, the name just the one that Fox got in trouble over, Dominion,
Mm-hmm.
and golly, can't remember the third one, but the top three voting,
Thibault.
Dabo, thanks. The top three voting machine companies are all held by private equity firms.
Tell him, Perry.
And the top three voting machines company run, if I'm not mistaken, about 85% of the elections throughout the United States. So when you consider 85% of the companies that are running elections that are being held by private equity firms, which means you don't
Mm-hmm.
know who those interests are that's putting money behind them, uh, uh, you can begin to pull a lot back on the skins of this onion to really find out the layers that's really pulling these levers.
Yes, indeed. And don't get the crying, because I'm telling you, I'm telling you, I'm telling you,
Mm,
don't get
mm.
the crying. Dustin, you have the floor.
For the chat question, I'm gonna go with four. That old midnight rule they like to slide in there. That gets people all the time. But
Yes, sir.
but for the question, they can claim whatever they want. People claim stupid stuff all the time. There are people out there claiming Elvis still alive. People out there claiming Epstein died in the jail cell, even though Palm Beach Pete looked just like him. And his main accomplice was spotted in Canada with her lawyer. But they claim what they want.
Resuscitate.
Oh my goodness, they can claim that the orange orangus thinking is cognitive, huh? They can claim that man yet alive. I ain't gonna say his name, but they can claim that man yet alive. I ain't gonna kill nobody because they got no heaven nor hell to send them. So I'm just gonna let y'all know you claim you claim what you want. Oh man. Oh man. I will say I enjoyed it. Um that I will say this, y'all. Um Not indefinitely. They know. Yeah, they are aware. They can claim whatever they want, but not indefinitely. Government cannot keep adding friction, if you will, and then defend that friction that it caused or it put out there. Um, it can't defend itself pointing at oh, that's the that's the people over there, that's the serving right on paper. I could do that. We have the authority. At some point, distance matters, time matters, money matters, confusion matters, deadline matters, uh, um, um, especially because the dirty little secret about barriers, they don't have to stop everybody. If a new obstacle discourages 2% over here, and then another 2% over there, and then 1% back there, um, another one loses, 1% over there, another one delays somebody over here and confuses somebody over there. You can bet your bottom dollar that affects thousands of votes, let alone voters, without ever creating one dramatic headline in our community. No fire hose, they didn't have to do that. No dogs, no sheriff, no, you know, just basic friction. And most of the times, one of those frictions is they gonna do what they want to do anyway. Instead of saying those things, we should say, especially those that say those things, they should say, I allowed them to do what they want to do anyway, not they. Because when you relieve or release your power, especially civic duty power, yeah, that's a simulation or alignment or agreement, if you will. It's a signature without putting your name on the paper. Just friction. That's what makes administrations or administrative disenfranchisement difficult to use or to see. It happens right when somebody's exhausted and they target us as individuals, not as groups. Because they know if everybody is in the group and speaking the same and moving the same, it's harder to split that fist than it is to break a finger. Round three. The best suppression system is is the one no single actor has to admit operating. Dustin, how easily can racial harm be defended as ordinary party strategy once courts separate partisan politics from voting right enforcement?
Super easy, because discrimination itself is already built into the foundation of the system.
Mm.
And those 72.3% of folks I mentioned earlier that don't have to prove themselves, they are ready toe on the line, ready to defend it because it doesn't affect them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Because they already know that it's the law, and what they're gonna say, well, it's the law, just go ahead and accept it.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, it don't affect them. So they're gonna keep playing this game because this reminds me when I was in tech school. For people in the military, that's the training you go to where you actually learn your job.
Tell them, Dust.
Well, the guy across the hall just happened to be Mormon, and he used to always bother me. But his belief is if it don't affect me or him directly, it never really happened.
Mm, mm, mm.
And then I told him if I swing my fist and your face get in the way, it never
It
happened
never
Never
because
really
really
it's your
happened.
happened.
fault.
I just want you to know it. I just want you to know it. I just really want you to know it. Yeah. That's where we have to be intellectually disciplined, y'all. Intellectually. Because my mouth is very intellectually inclined. But like Dustin said, the hands, baby, the hand by session. You understand? It tap you on your chin. I promise. That's exactly where I am, little brother. Like, don't automatically assume that I won't tap you on your chin because you playing me too close, and I already told you 3 minutes ago, stop playing in my face. Guess shot. What does a legal victory mean if the citizen wins the case after the election already took the vote anyway? Anybody want to touch on that?
A win after the vote is gone is just a receipt for a stolen election. You can't cash "you were right" for a
You ain't gonna
ballot
pass
that
over
was
that
never
like that.
counted.
Run that back. You're not gonna pass over that. Say the first sentence out your mouth.
A win after the vote is gone is just a receipt for a stolen election.
And you ain't gotta say nothing else. You ain't gotta say nothing else, Dr. Campbell. You ain't gotta say nothing else. Especially 24-25 election, especially this current administration. Oh, yeah, you told us in the last one that you lost that the election was stolen. But we saw that your technology wasn't there yet. And now that you built your partnerships, your technology is there to steal not only the presidential election.
Hmm.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dr. Cam. Before we end up in jail.
I said all I needed to say.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Read that. Say that one more time. Read that one more time from your notes so that the cheering in the bite. The cheering in the bite, Dr. Campbell. I need the cheering in the bite, not back. I need the cheering in the bite. That's way bite to understand what you just said. Go ahead.
A win after the election is gone is just a receipt for a stolen election.
Hello, 2025. Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Golly, Dr. Campbell. That's the power imbalance, right? Golly, Dr. Campbell. Golly. Perry. Golly. Perry. Did
Mm-mm.
Miss
Yeah,
did Dr. Campbell take your shot too with just that sentence? Golly, man. Who
yeah, she
It's my
got the last
answers?
it's my
call on that one.
shot.
You say what? I was
That was
like,
the guest shot.
golly. Golly. Dr. Campbell,
Mm.
don't be doing that. Why?
But I told you I was coming sharp tonight. My knife was ready, baby.
You had to tell everybody that their election was stolen. Ow! Why can government change election machinery near election day while citizens receive so little time to correct government errors?
They can flip the rules overnight. But if
All right,
but if
Dustin.
you make a mistake, you're out of luck.
Correct.
That's not fairness. That's a moving target with a deadline.
That's it. Tyranny. I heard it.
Mm.
Oh, so you playing like Dustin tonight? Only difference is that you ain't muting. Okay then.
If I give you
I
too
ain't
much
even
at one
mad.
time, you're not gonna digest it all.
Yes, indeed, Dr. Kev. That's accountability fog, though, for some people. That everybody has jurisdiction. Nobody has ownership. I'm just saying. Perry, you ready for your shot? Ooh.
Let's go.
Golly. Who answers when federal data, state orders, county action, contractor mistakes, and delayed court review produce one lost vote?
Mm, mm, mm.
I'm gonna take nobody for 1,000, Chuck.
Oh,
Bingo! You're
ding,
the
ding, ding, ding,
winner.
ding. Ding, ding,
Yeah,
ding, 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 ding. You understand?
yeah. Uh,
Yes,
and
indeed.
not only that, one thing I think you'll hear a lot all the time, even when there is evidence of some fraud.
Mm,
Uh, the last line that always accompanies that statement that yes, we identified it. Yes, this person, this group attempted fraud. But then they always close that statement with the fact that, but based on their records, that fraud would not have changed the outcome of the
but
election.
based
So
on my
you can
records.
always, and it's just one of the things that when I talk to uh, county clerks, supervisor of elections, because I have a relationship with a few throughout the U.S. And that's the one thing I always point out is that during elections, you can have all of these issues going on, and I put it into the idea of you you're on the 1 yard line, you're on your opponent's 1 yard line, you take the ball, um somebody clips a
Mm,
defender, you run out of bounds and come back in, you fumble the ball, it gets kicked, it gets all of these things happen, but yet when you cross the goal line 99 yards away, everybody's
mm.
hollering touchdown.
Absolutely.
And that's what happens during elections. We have all of these issues, all of these problems, not just the ones that they're telling us about, but the administrative ones that they don't want to let seep out.
That
The
part.
ones that get talked about in hushed conversations by
Mm-hmm.
poll workers who happen to see something but really didn't know
Mm-hmm.
what was going on and saw it was suspicious. You have all of this going on, but yet at the end of the day, you give us a count and we all take it as the gospel.
Mm,
I had
mm.
machines go down. Did machines lose votes when they
Right.
went down? Or I brought in another machine and I plugged in the USB drive. Well, were those votes counted accurately? I mean, we got plenty of history.
Correct.
I can go back to 2000 when we was
Oops.
talking. We can go all the way back to Florida 2000 when they was
Oh, I
talking.
was about to
I
say,
had to
don't come
laugh
to Beaumont.
when Dustin talked about, well, let's go back to punching it. Well, I mean, we got all of this where we are now because folk couldn't get over hanging chads, which was the big word back then, because
Now they
folk
hanging
punch, but
Sarahs.
it didn't punch it, but didn't punch the ticket enough. And so, but while we talk about hanging chads in Volusia County, that same night, Volusia County had just started with electronic voting machines. Gore, at one point in the night, went up by over 5,000 votes because of, they said, a USB drive, miscalculated the vote counts. They came back and took away those 5,000 votes. So let's talk about the great train robbery in that event. They
Campbell
took
say your election
5,000
been stolen?
took 5,000 votes that was on the table, counted,
Golly.
and said, now, House rules, we gonna call it because, Jeb Bush is the governor and his brother running, so we playing House rules. So when you have that, and at the end of the day, did anybody get fired? Did anybody lose their position? No. Everybody got their pension and everybody got a promotion and everybody moved on.
Accountability was a ghost.
Huh? And I'm talking about a spooky one.
What jersey was he wearing?
He was in the machine.
Was he on the roster? I don't even know if accountability was on the roster.
I'm trying to tell you, he played for the Insurgents. Accountability played for the Insurgents. His jersey number is 00. Who gonna pull me up? Dr. Campbell, pull me up.
If no institution admits to suppression, but the same communities repeatedly carry the burden, how long do we keep calling the outcome accidental?
I will say, and I took some notes for this one, y'all, because they was talking about institutional, negligence, if you will. And so I had to do some digging to find how much institutional negligence, and I almost could not leave from the Supreme Court in the past 8 years. My research had me so heavy in them people's business. I was like, man, what is really going on here? So this is the heart tonight of tonight. I don't need a conspiracy. So let me say that already. Again, let me say that right now. I don't need a conspiracy. Okay. Conspiracies is actually the easy story. One villain, one plane, one smoking gun. Real institutions are messier than that, y'all. And like I told y'all, whoa. Sometimes federal policy um or treats individuals or treats spaces of pressure. It even creates pressure. Like some people say, don't be throwing gas on the fire. State governments amplifies that. County governments operate or oper their opportunity is in that. You know, a particular vendor screws up something and they it gets count as an accident. A court gets involved and nobody, and I do mean nobody, gets convicted. And they shit from they're not intended to especially find the exact final result of what it is that they did. Fine, that's fine. That's all good, fine and dandy. The vote is still gone. Perry mentioned, okay, you removed the USB and plugged in another one, data machine or voting machine. Why did the numbers on the USB change? Is the question. You you're missing something. Your 1 and 1 ain't adding up into like two. And I don't
Hmm.
care in what part of the world you in, Craig. 1 plus 1 mathematically is gonna always equal two. But the vote, y'all, is still gone. So stop asking me only, can you prove somebody intended this? Stop playing in my face. Because we also know or want to know, did or do you know this was happening?
Mm.
Because knowledge of a thing changes the morale equation altogether. The first time your system wrongly flags eligible citizens, a mistake. I'm with that. It's a mistake. You investigate the 10th time, that becomes a pattern. Actually, that becomes a practice because you're even training the next individual to continue the same pattern practice. The underneath or the 100th time, what the hell you think you about to do? Or, I mean, like what is really going on? What are you doing about it? It's the 100th time that we have noticed that this has happened. That's that's accountability, y'all. That's how accountability is supposed to look. And this is where America pisses me off even more when it comes to its racial history because it matters without us having to even engage in a daggum thing. Discrimination has not always announced itself as discrimination, y'all. Hi, my name is Discrimination. I'll be here for the duration. Make that make sense.
Mhm.
Some of the most effective systems in our history were written in neutral language. The literacy test didn't have to say black people cannot vote. I'm going to say it again. Black people cannot vote. The mechanism did the work. It was the mechanism. The poll tax didn't have to say, poor black people stay home and don't expect to vote. The burden did the work, y'all. It was the burden that did the work of that. Excuse me. At large electoral systems didn't need to have racial language to dilute geographical what they call it what they call it uh concentrated black areas. Concentrated. We can't fund you. We can't put nothing in your area. We can't give you tax dollars because your area is considered concentrated black. So they know that you have some voter strength when it comes to concentrated black voting power. Structure did the work, but I want y'all to know that does not mean every modern administration rule is the new poll tax. Don't cheap history like that. Don't cheapen history like that. It means history teaches us to examine mechanisms, not merely language. What does the rule do? Who gets burdened? How predictable was the burden and the outcome, if you will? What alternatives are available? Did officials know this? Did they correct it? Do we know it? Did we correct it? That's the growth, folks. That analysis that we definitely have to have in our community. And like I'll say it again, Dustin, I gotta go back to you. Dustin told y'all that blocks are in blocks for a reason. because racism does not have the same nigger to create racial consequences. Yeah, I said it. Power can be perfectly polite. Power can say, unfortunately, your documentation is incomplete. Power can say, the location has been consolidated. Power can say, your ballot cannot be processed at this particular time. Power can say, oh, our records indicate, like Perry said. Power can say, the court will address that question later, sir. And every one of those sentences and redirects may be described legitimate administration or may be part of a system producing unequal access. That's where we investigate. That's how we move, not assume, investigate. And there's the deepest problem. The voter experiences the entire government all by itself. The different the difference is protection of the machinery, y'all, because every department gets to say, I only handled my piece. I only did what my office called for. Y'all see how these Senate hearings are going? I'm only moving according to how my office is governed. Somebody needs to own the whole. Mm,
Mm.
yep, 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 yep. It's one thing I was eligible, especially when we find out we're eligible because democracy is not five unrelated administrative decisions to persons whose ballot just so happened to disappear or had to go to jail because they cast a ballot. That's accountability fog. And until we start demanding end to end accountability, the voter will continue to carry the consequences of government and the fragmentation when it comes to our voting access. That's just the access. Check question number 3. Who should answer when eligible vote is lost through administrative errors? Put a 1 in the chat for federal agents for the federal agency. Put a 2 in the chat for the state. Put a 3 in the chat for the county. Put a 4 in the chat for every institution involved. And put a 5 in the chat for nobody will accept responsibility. Drop your number right now in the chat. Go ahead and do that. Round table question number 3 is fragmented responsibility merely government dysfunction, or has plausible deniability became modern disenfranchisement strongest protection? Dr. Campbell, you have the floor.
So, for the chat question, I'm going to say number 5, nobody will accept the responsibility.
Hmm.
They'll point fingers in a circle while your vote sits in a void. That's the real system, error without accountability. And for my roundtable question answer, dysfunction is a mistake. Plausible deniability is a shield.
Hmm.
When no one's in charge, no one's to blame. And that's exactly how you kill a vote without a villain.
Correct. Perry, you got the floor.
Regarding the chat question, I will agree. No one will accept the responsibility for it. Get into the question. I really enjoyed this conversation tonight. Um, because as deep as many points as we've hit, it's still so many more that
Absolutely.
we haven't touched.
And it's coming back. We're coming back next week. Y'all stay tuned.
Yeah. I
Mm, mm. You muted, brother.
I know my mic. Yeah, I'm currently working with a national group that deals with election integrity, and I mentioned it before. We've been on this drive to um, get county voter rolls from as many counties. I want to publicly say Jefferson County is involved. Jefferson County is included in that list. In fact,
Mm-hmm.
Jefferson County may have the most voter roll snapshots of any county that we're dealing with, primarily
Mm-hmm.
just because I've been doing these
Right.
snapshots in Jefferson County
For years
um,
now.
for a little bit over a year. And we've been talking about fraud and the loss of a vote uh, as it relates to the ballot itself. One of the areas that we didn't discuss is how you can lose your vote even after you have successfully completed the process. And the way you begin to lose your votes, and it's one of the areas that we're looking at. Um, we make some big assumptions about our county clerk's office and about the management of voter rolls and the whole process around elections. And one thing I've had to uh, learn myself is that whether it's the clerk office, supervisor of elections, whatever you want to call those offices, they're really administration uh, agencies.
Mm-hmm.
And because they're administrative, there's strictly providing oversight of the mechanism itself.
Mm.
When you think about a clerk's office, they're either getting ready for an election, in the middle of the election, or closing down an election.
Mm-hmm.
Nowhere in all of that process, some will say that they do a deep dive or some post-election analysis to see, but they're usually looking at their process.
Correct.
When it comes down to elections, there's only two places I'm looking. That's voter rolls and election boxes. Not listening to what was on social media, what's all been said. All of that is good, but at the end of the day, who's on the voting roll and whose vote got counted are the things that should be of utmost concern.
Correct. Correct.
And one of the ways, and we saw this really in 2016. 2020, I think, was an outlier for this administration because voting took a different dynamic in 2020 with COVID. So it was harder to maintain. But what we're seeing in voting now is Trump started talking about dead voters. There is some of that. Let's just be honest. Because as you asked earlier about data administration, that's not really in the clerk's office. They may do some of it on a light scale, but if you're involved in a true data environment, there's always constant maintenance
Mm-hmm.
because you've got data entry, you got user error, you got all the, and now when we talk about DMV and all of these systems now interacting with each other, all of those are opportunities for bad data, misinformation, inaccurate information, and as we've also noticed in some cases, what we call ghost voters.
Hmm.
Because a lot of times, you'll have systems, people will do testing, they'll put in test users or whatever else. So you got those people involved. But and I don't have the I will bring the article. Related to the Jack Smith case.
Mm-hmm.
There was a couple that was arrested in Wisconsin.
Come on here, period.
And when they were arrested, they found a trove of registration applications. And the people openly admitted that they were going from county to county. They were being paid to go into counties and register people. Not real people, just put in voter registration. So when you hear Trump them talking about all this ghost voters and inaccurate voters, they aren't lying because they understand there's the mechanism for it.
Correct. And they
so
perpetuate
on one side, they trying to game the system to say,
Right.
see, I told you so. But
Right.
here's where it does come in. If those people are not caught, if those voters are not flagged, then there's another system that comes in with people with driver license. Won't say they're valid driver's license. You can get you a nice fake driver's license. I know it used to be in Houston. You can go to the flea market before they got real ID. You used to be.
You telling? He done told. Golly, Perry, you don't tell everybody.
Okay, I'm back. Yeah. But yeah, in Houston, you used to be able to get a driver's license. And if you remember during the George Floyd case, Derek Chauvin, during his
Yes, sir.
court case,
Yes, sir.
they found out that he had property in Florida. And what they did not say was that he was a registered voter in Florida.
In Florida.
So when you understand how numbers move in elections, and you understand Republicans, and you have a lot of Republicans that have land, multiple properties, interstate, intrastate. You see it also now with your current candidate for senator, Ken Paxton. They just announced he has three homes and four homes, and he's registered vote. He's registered vote in 3 different counties.
That part.
So when you begin to understand the numbers and where you need to place your numbers,
I'm trying to tell you, Beaumont.
This is the other side. This is the other side to canceling your vote, because when they can get a place like Newton County, who I think in 2024 experienced some problems, and they ended up having 3,000 more votes than they had actual registered voters.
Make it make sense how 3,000 people come vote and they ain't even living there.
Not even on the registered voter roll.
Yeah.
So, I say all that to say that's a whole lot of inaccuracy for a government that won't even deal with reparations, and now trying to erase racism. It's kind of hard for them to even accept just some of their own inaccuracies around here. And so that's why we've been on it. And I take it as it's a citizen responsibility. All that we're talking about, yes, with the mass surveillance, even in all of that, these are public records that we have access to. And woe,
ain't doing a damn thing with it.
And woe to us if we're not using it and not even looking at it.
So
you said it earlier, Chris. I don't know how many people even have gone back? And I've been one to say this. We say voting is private. The act of voting is private. Your ballot should not be private to you. And how I come up with that is from a government standpoint. The government has all my vital statistics. When you die and you hit that death database, you off every record.
Correct.
If no one knew that there's a death database that the U.S. keeps track of, as soon as you get on the death database, you can't get off, even if you are alive.
Golly.
But here's the thing: is that with all of these systems, where we now find ourselves, and it's a really scary part, is just that our labor pool, with all of its knowledge, some right, some good knowledge, some wrong knowledge, but nevertheless, we do have some intrinsic knowledge that's about to leave many of these agencies.
Are gone already.
So when you start thinking about this young labor force, these young millennials now, they may be well acquainted with technology, but getting them to stay focused and do good data entry and data monitoring, we have some problems on the horizon
Sure
that
do.
we
Look
need
at
to
the
address
eggs.
right now. Yeah.
Look at the eggs. And I'll tell that to anybody. There's too many people in the FDA that was fired to say that that's the only one. Dustin, you ready for your shot? I'm sorry, Dustin, you got the floor.
Uh, I'm going with 4, but we could go and wrap this up because we even crossed that 2-hour mark, and I'm getting sleepy.
Thank you, Dad.
Man. So go ahead and give me, well, I'm gonna respond. I think plausible deniability is one of the strongest protections a bad system have, including BISD, including the city of Beaumont, including Jefferson County, including Austin. Plausible deniability is one of the strongest protections bad systems have. Not because nobody secretly plotted the outcome, because everybody is allowed to define responsibility so narrowly that nobody, I do mean nobody, owns the cumulative harm. The biggest or the bigger the elections, we see that the bovine excrement is the same everywhere. Police department blames policy. Policy makes blame for law. Legislative blames local government. Local government blames funding. Contractors, correction, local government then blames the citizens for not paying attention and then want to undergird contracts by blaming them for specifications. Everybody has a reason. The community still has the damn problem. So here's what, at least my standard, I don't know about if everybody else got one, but I have one, and it's not just don't play in my face. If government creates the system, government owns the system. Figure out your internal blame later. Make the citizen whole first. And in elections, whole has to mean before the deadline. Otherwise, you ain't making nobody whole. You writing up the autopsy. So give us a close for the week, everybody else. I'm done. Dr. Campbell, you had the floor.
This week, remember, a vote really isn't yours until it's counted. If the system makes you prove yourself over and over while no one answers for their mistakes, that's not security. That's a test most people were never told they'd have to take.
Perry, you have the floor.
I know it's old and cliche, but yeah, stay woke. That's it. I know it's
Dustin.
after it's after 2 hours, so I'm kind of pushing that toward Dustin too. Stay woke with us for a couple of more minutes.
Dustin, you have the floor. Stay what doesn't say now.
All
You
right.
do just like Dr. Campbell, nod off.
I wasn't asleep. My eyes was closed. I answered right when you
Oh no,
when
you
you
were
said whatever
snoring,
you
Queen.
said.
You were
What?
snoring, Queen. You were snoring.
Get
You had
out
them
of
feds.
here.
I promise. Watch when we watch it again, you're gonna be like, brother, you should have called me. Go ahead, Dustin.
All right, word of the week. You know, y'all gonna carry this since I had to watch what was that, 4 hours before I checked out the city council meeting. Word of the week directed directly towards Beaumont City Council members. I want y'all to join closely, listen up. The word is nonpartisan. People like to get those words confused. You know, bipartisan means something totally different. Nonpartisan, as in free of party ties or biases, as in
Mm-hmm.
political party, often used to describe local elections. So the thing y'all like to confuse yourselves with, there is no Republican, Democrat, or independent city council member or mayor.
That's right.
Those things do not exist.
Do that.
So stop acting accordingly and get yourselves together. There's no
Hmm.
political party lines to go across. Y'all work for the people only. Your political
That's
beliefs
it.
end the moment you take that office. Now, if you want to do state government, those type of elections, feel free to campaign for whoever you want. But when you in that chair of city council member, you don't have a political party. The
Mm.
only party is the people of Beaumont.
Mhm.
Y'all have
Absolutely.
Bingo.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Tonight, y'all, I definitely want you to know you have the right to do whatever it is that you so choose, whether it's vote, whether it's appeal, whether it's create party, whether it's to create disruption. You have the total access to do all that. Because the next question ought to be before or after the election. That's oh, I almost cussed. That's the difference, y'all. So don't wait until November to become political. Don't wait for a presidential candidate to remind you that you're black. Don't wait for somebody to knock on your door and say it's time to vote. Don't wait for a celebrity endorsement of a particular candidate. Don't wait for no damn commercial to tell you, hey, this is who you don't wait. Don't wait. Know your system. Know your county. Know your precinct. Know your registration, but validity. Know what changed in the voting process altogether and help somebody besides yourself know theirs because we keep telling people your vote is your voice, then act like it, especially when we know that ooh, protecting that voice, um, and not only protecting yours, protect your community's ability to speak, and that's how political power gets built, y'all. Not on Tuesday or every 2 years or uh, every other time a friend of ours is on the ballot. No.
Mm.
Tonight, I don't want you leaving scared about getting ready to vote in November. I want you leaving nosy, like we had said about somebody else. If you reading, if you're asking questions, if you are checking records, if you are showing up, I want government officials getting tired of seeing your face. You understand me? I want them so sick of seeing your face that you change the atmosphere and the environment in the room. I want them so sick of seeing your face that they, as loud as they possibly could every time you enter the room, because somebody who understands how the machine works is a whole lot harder to quietly process out of it. And remember this, we are politics. So when you say, I don't engage in politics, well, damn it, get your ass from around me. Because you done already told me that you don't have no thoughts about me, my offspring, and or anything our community has to go through. We cannot get to disengage from politics and escape its consequences. We are especially when we disengaged. We become volunteers of a vulnerable circumstance. So when November arrives, vote. But before November arrives, watch the daggum election happening before the election. Because after you vote, if you ain't keep watching, you ain't do nothing but write on a sheet of paper like a pre-K person. And some of them draw and write better than some of you in cursive. Because power don't stop working when the poll's done, y'all. I just want y'all to know. And neither should we. To Dr. Campbell, to Perry, to Dustin, thank y'all again for another good Tuesday. Thank you for pulling your chairs up to a hot conversation. To everybody watching us on Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're watching us, just know that the Knowledge is Power Podcast Network or the Knowledge is Power Network and the Roundtable Talk Show is definitely pleased to have you. Thank you for spending part of your evening into the night with us. Don't just share the show, share some information, check somebody's registration, call an elder to make sure that they're not getting hoodwinked about their voter application or their mail-in ballot. Talk to your children, expose them, like Dustin said, bring them to the poll. Read something longer than a damn headline. And when somebody tells you, don't worry about that, just vote. Tell them voting is the last step. I need you to know what happened before my vote even got there. So, I'm your host, Christopher Jones. This has been the Roundtable Talk Show on the Knowledge is Power Network. But knowledge is you. Don't you just get this information. So take what you learned tonight and do something with it. Take care of yourself, take care of your family, take care of our community. Keep your eyes open. Keep your mind sharp. Keep your receipts. And until we pull these chairs up again, stay prayed up. Stay prayed up. Stay prayed up. Thank y'all for watching. God bless. Good night.